Dear children, in this video we are going to learn about the American Civil War. This is in the history book lesson 3 for class 8 ICSE board. The American War of Independence led to the birth of the United States of America. America was faced with the Civil War in between the years 1861 to 1865 that threatened the unity and integration of the nation. Background of the American Civil War. After 1776, America was broadly divided into two halves, the northern and the southern states. The North, in the 19th century, experienced a tremendous industrial spurt with a large number of textile factories and manufacturing industries being set up. The South depended heavily on agriculture and plantations. Cotton, sugarcane, and tobacco were the main crops grown here. This was because of the climate was suitable for growing cash crops. Work on these labor-intensive plantations was done entirely by the slaves brought from Africa. Causes for the American Civil War. The first reason, transport and communication improvement plan. The North had an industrial base while the South was agriculture. The North wanted improvement in transport and communication facilities that in turn would aid in industrial growth. The South was against such changes because it felt that such changes would affect the soil's fertility adversely. The second main reason was due to the tariff. The North and South clashed over the question of tariff. The northern states preferred protected tariffs as it would make foreign goods more expensive than the locally manufactured goods. This in turn would increase the demand for locally manufactured goods. The South, on the other hand, felt that much tariffs were unfair and aimed at disturbing the economy of the southern states. This was because of the southern states imported a wider variety of goods from foreign markets than their northern counterparts. Further taxes were also levied on many southern goods that were shipped to foreign countries, an expense that was not always applied to northern goods of equal value. Next main issue is slavery. The issue of slavery was the crucial point of dissension between the North and the South. Slavery had existed in America long before the American War of Independence. By the end of the American War of Independence, most northern states had abolished the institution of slavery because they needed free labor to work in the factories. Slavery, however, continued to grow and flourish in the plantation economy of the South. Slaves were also used for various household chores. Slaves thus became economically indispensable for the southern states. The slaves were tortured and treated like a personal property of the slave owners. They could be auctioned, bought, and sold at the will of their owners. They were kept in unhygienic conditions and were poorly fed. Slaves were not allowed to read or write, and any attempt to read the Bible was met with cruel punishment. The northern states felt that the slavery was a social injustice and should be abolished. The abolitionist movement was led by William Lloyd Garrison. He founded the American Anti-Slavery Society. The next main reason is westward expansion. As the nation grew in size, many Americans migrated westwards. This westward expansion resulted in many new territories being added to the United States. While the South was in favor of spreading slavery to the newly acquired western territories, The North was against the spread of slavery to the new territories. Another reason is states' rights. The another pressing issue was the question of states' rights and the amount of freedom to be given to the individual states. While the northern states wanted the United States to remain one nation, the southern states wanted individual states to be given the power to decide whether they wanted to remain with the Union or secede from the Union. This was opposed by the North. The next cause because of the Uncle Tom's Cabin novel. The literary impetus to the American Civil War was provided by the path-breaking novel of 1852, that is Uncle Tom's Cabin by Harriet Beecher Stowe. This novel helped to create public opinion against slavery. The gulf between the northern and the southern states widened with the time. When Abraham Lincoln, who was known for his anti-slavery views, was elected the president in 1861, 11 southern states seceded from the Union. These states were South Carolina, Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, Texas, Virginia, Arkansas, Tennessee, and North Carolina. They established a new nation and called it the Confederate States of America. Jefferson Davis was chosen as the president. Next, the beginning of American Civil War. The section of the southern states was unacceptable to the Union. Abraham Lincoln decided to bring the seceded states back into the Union. War was only way to do so. The American Civil War began on 12th April 1861. The forces of the North clashed with the Confederate Army. Numerous battles were fought in the different places in the South. Fortunes kept fluctuating with neither side being able to dominate the other completely. Ultimately, after 4 years of fighting, the Confederate army was defeated. The war ended on 9th April 1865 when the Confederate General Robert Lee surrendered to the Union General Ulysses Grant. Next, let's see about Abraham Lincoln. President Abraham Lincoln played the most crucial role during the war. He guided the Union during the war and succeeded in preserving its unity. In 1862, he issued an Emancipation Proclamation. This was a giant step towards abolishing slavery and emancipating the slaves. After the war, the slaves were granted citizenship and voting rights. Lincoln was a great orator. The speech he gave at Gettysburg during the American Civil War is considered to be one of the greatest speeches in American history. The inspiration for establishing a democracy in India has been taken from this speech.